Was the Great Fire of London in 1666 just a tragic accident? Or was something far more sinister smoldering beneath the surface? For centuries, we've been told the story of a baker's oven, a spark, and a city reduced to ashes. But what if that's not the whole truth? What if the fire was a cover for a dark conspiracy? A plot to reshape a city and its future? In this video, we are digging through the ashes of history to uncover the hidden secrets of the blaze that nearly destroyed London. We'll investigate the official story, explore the shocking conspiracy theories, and reveal the surprising truth about who was blamed and who might have actually been responsible. Stick around, because this historical mystery is about to get very, very hot. It all began in the dead of night, on September 2nd, 1666. The city of London was a tinderbox labyrinth of narrow, winding streets packed with wooden houses, all coated in flammable pitch. In a small bakery on Pudding Lane, a baker named Thomas Fariner went to bed, believing the fire in his oven was out. He was wrong. Around noem, a spark ignited, and soon his house was ablaze. Fariner and his family managed to escape across the rooftops, but their maid, too terrified to jump, became the fire's first victim. At first, no one thought much of it. Small fires were common in 17th century London. The Lord Mayor, Sir Thomas Bloodworth, was woken up and famously dismissed the incident, reportedly saying, "Pish, a woman might piss it out," before going back to sleep. This casual dismissal would prove to be one of the most catastrophic mistakes in London's history. Little did he know, this wasn't just another small fire. This was the beginning of the end for the medieval city of London. The fire didn't just burn, it roared, fueled by a strong easterly wind and a long, dry summer that had left the city parched. The flames leaped from house to house with terrifying speed. The tightly packed wooden buildings acted like kindling, and the warehouses along the River Thames, filled with oil, tallow, and spirits, were virtual bombs waiting to explode. Firefighting efforts were chaotic and ineffective. The primary method was to use bucket brigades, but the heat was too intense for anyone to get close. The other option was to create fire breaks by demolishing buildings in the fire's path. But the Lord Mayor hesitated, worried about the costs and who would pay for the demolished properties. By the time he finally gave the order, it was too late. The fire had grown into an unstoppable inferno, a firestorm that created its own weather, sucking in air and incinerating everything in its path. Eyewitnesses like Samuel Pepys described a horrifying scene, a sky glowing red for miles, people fleeing in panic, their belongings piled onto carts or thrown into the river, and the air filled with the sounds of cracking timber and collapsing buildings. For 4 days, the fire raged, consuming everything from St. Paul's Cathedral to the Royal Exchange. It was a vision of hell on earth. As the smoke cleared, a devastated city looked for someone to blame. An accident felt too random, too meaningless for a disaster of this scale. The public, already gripped by fear and paranoia, needed a scapegoat, and they found one in Robert Hubert, a simple-minded French watchmaker. Hubert was captured and confessed to starting the fire deliberately. He claimed he was an agent of the Pope, sent to burn down the Protestant city. It was the perfect story for a population deeply suspicious of foreigners and Catholics. His confession was full of inconsistencies. He claimed to have started the fire at the bakery on Pudding Lane, but he couldn't even describe the building correctly. He was also reportedly not even in London when the fire began. Even the man who owned the bakery testified that his oven had started the fire accidentally. But none of that mattered. The people wanted justice, or at least the illusion of it, despite clear evidence of his innocence and his obvious mental instability. Robert Hubert was tried, convicted, and hanged on October 27, 1666. He was the convenient villain for a city desperate for answers, a tragic figure sacrificed to quell public anger. But was Hubert just a scapegoat for a much deeper plot? This is where the story takes a dark turn into the world of conspiracy. The official narrative of an accidental fire has been challenged for centuries. One of the most persistent theories points the finger at a secret cabal of powerful individuals who wanted to see the old, plague-ridden, and chaotic medieval London destroyed. Why? To rebuild it as a modern, orderly, and more profitable city. Think about it. The old London was a health hazard, a maze of unsanitary streets that had just suffered the Great Plague a year earlier. A fire would be the ultimate urban renewal project. Proponents of this theory point to figures like the architect Sir Christopher Wren. Before the fire, Wren had already presented plans to King Charles II for a grand redesign of London, which were largely ignored. After the fire, who was put in charge of rebuilding the city, including its 51 new churches and a magnificent new St. Paul's Cathedral. Sir Christopher Wren. Coincidence, perhaps? Or was the fire the catalyst he and others needed to push their vision forward? The theory suggests that powerful men, possibly even with the quiet approval of the king, saw the fire not as a disaster, but as an opportunity, a brutal but effective way to clear the slate and build a new, grander London from the ashes. In the aftermath, London was a wasteland. Over 13,000 houses, 87 churches, and countless public buildings were gone. An estimated 100,000 people were left homeless, camping in makeshift towns in the fields surrounding the city. The economic toll was staggering. Yet, from this devastation, a new London began to rise. The rebuilding was a monumental task. While Christopher Wren's most ambitious plans for a city of grand boulevards were rejected largely because property owners wanted to keep their original plots of land, significant changes were made. The new laws mandated that houses be built from brick and stone instead of wood, and streets were made wider. These regulations dramatically reduced the risk of another great fire and improved sanitation. St. Paul's Cathedral, which had been completely destroyed, was reborn under Wren's genius as the iconic masterpiece we know today. In a way, the fire, for all its horror, acted as a painful but necessary surgery. It purged the city of the lingering plague, cleared away the cramped and dangerous medieval structures, and paved the way for the London of the modern era. A monument, simply called the Monument, was erected near Pudding Lane to commemorate the fire, a permanent reminder of the city's destruction and rebirth. So, what's the final verdict? Was the Great Fire of London a tragic accident caused by a baker's forgotten embers? Or was it a calculated act of arson, a conspiracy to reshape a city? The historical consensus firmly lands on the side of accident. The combination of a dry season, strong winds, and a city built of wood created the perfect conditions for a catastrophic fire. Robert Hubert's confession is widely seen as false, the ramblings of a disturbed man caught in a storm of public hysteria. The conspiracy theories, while tantalizing, lack any concrete evidence. There are no deathbed confessions from powerful plotters, no secret documents outlining the plan. However, the story reminds us that in times of great crisis, people crave simple explanations and often create villains where none exist. The fire wasn't a plot, but powerful people were certainly quick to turn the disaster into an opportunity. It's a gripping example of how chaos can be a ladder for the ambitious. The Great Fire of London remains a powerful tale of destruction, resilience, and the enduring human need to find order and meaning, even in the smoking ruins of their world. What do you think? Was it a simple accident? Or do you believe there's more to the story? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you love exploring the dark and mysterious side of history, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another thrilling story. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.